All right, Senator, we'll come back to the asset declaration matter in a moment, but let me dwell on this, your party leadership supporting you a little bit. Would you consider that a disadvantage or what for, at the moment, you vying for the position of the Senate President, still seeking their support at this time?
Well, I need the support of my leaders and elders, just like I need the endorsements of my colleagues. I don't think there's anything wrong in doing that. And I've said at the beginning here that no one who runs for the office of the President of the Senate or the Speaker or indeed any office that will not find it necessary and imperative to seek the support of the leaders of this party. And I want to emphasize here that no leader has anointed me or indeed anyone. What we are trying to do, or particularly what I continue to do, is to continue to knock at the doors of my colleagues, explain what I have in store for the Senate and indeed the National Assembly, because as Senate President, you also couple as the Chairman of the National Assembly. But I also always seek the support of my leaders and elders and emphasize this, because these are people who buried their individual ambitions, who sacrificed so much in the first instance to bring the party APC into being. You recall that APC is an amalgamation of 4 political parties, the legacy parties. And therefore, whoever thinks that he can go the way of seeking an office without seeking the support of blessing, I think is making a terrible mistake. For me, I've grown up to respect my leaders and elders, and I will continue to do that. But I also understand that in Parliament, the most important caucus will be the caucus of your party, the senators or the House of Reps members. And of course, we will continue to seek for this endorsement of our colleagues, because we believe that they are the people that will give the leadership legitimacy, the support that is required to function when it is in place.
Assuming some governors in your zone and maybe some other party leaders tell you to step down, what would you do?
No, I don't want to speak on speculations. I have the total support, in fact, over 100% support of my governor, the governor of my state, Ahmed Lawan, and that is very essential and key. And I need the support of other governors and leaders of my party in my zone. So, and I'm sure that I will continue to get their support and their blessing. So I don't want to speculate on something that is highly unlikely and very theoretical and hypothetical.
Can we take it, in this issue of, endorsements and blessings, can we take it that when you secured the support of the Southwest and the Northwest, that you, by extension, have gotten the blessings of the leaders of that zone?
Yeah, that is one thing that can be implied, because I believe that my colleagues in the Southwest and Northwest would necessarily, after due consultation among themselves, will also be speaking with our leaders and elders within those doors. But that is not to say that the leaders themselves have endorsed me or anointed me.
Okay. Another thing that is of importance to the National Assembly and to many Nigerians is the cutting of the cost of governance. A lot of people want to know what it is that the Senate will do in that regard, especially considering the country's current dwindling fortunes.
Yeah, I believe that Nigeria is at the crossroads this time. Our source of revenue has dwindled. The international price of the crude oil has gone down dramatically and drastically. We need to improve our source of revenue sources, maybe look for more sources of revenue, and the cost of governance, I'm convinced, is too high, and we need to do something about it. We can, first of all, maybe revisit the Oresanya report to see how we can merge some of the agencies of government. Currently, there are over 650 agencies of government. Some of them have been drain pipes or public funds. They don't function at all. Created in the 1960s, and no one knows about what they do. Some are duplicating the functions of each other, and I believe that such organizations should be merged and streamlined. And when we have to cut the cost of governance, let me say clearly that we need to look at the entire system. We should not be looking at the National Assembly as the main issue of cutting cost of governance. National Assembly has only 150 billion. Actually, currently, the 2015 budget it has given National Assembly 120 billion, and that is not for legislators alone. That takes the cost of running the National Assembly Service Commission, the National Assembly Management, the Nigerian Institute of Legislative Studies, the NILS, the aides of the members of the National Assembly and the members of the National Assembly themselves. So I believe that if we are looking at effective cut, you should go beyond the National Assembly. You should go to the ministries, you should go to the judiciary, and ensure that you have a total across the board reduction at recurrent. And I believe that we need to work on reducing the recurrent, the percent of the recurrent provision in our budget. For the last 6 years, the recurrent has always been above 70%. That is not acceptable. That is not tolerable. That will continue to push Nigeria down the precipice, because most Nigerians, over 80% of Nigerians, don't get anything from this kind of budget. When you have only 20% or maximum of 23% as capital. So we need to reverse this. We may have to face it, but I believe in the cutting of the cost of government.
All right, Senator, let me ask you this. I mean, for some days now, there's been this discussion about declaration of assets by the president. Yes, he submitted it to the Code of Conduct Bureau as stipulated in our laws. But there are many who also argue that he should have made a copy available to the public as he promised while campaigning. What do you think about that?
No, I'm not going to comment on that, because I'm sure there are appropriate agencies or individuals who can speak for the office of Mr. President.
Would you, as Senate President aspirant, declare your assets? If they ask that you do it publicly, would you go ahead and do that publicly?
Yes, I can do that. I have no problem with that.
No, we're talking about publicly. Would you do that publicly if that's the demand of the people?
That's what I said. Yes, I can make it public.
Love him or hate him, the Senate President has been a unifying factor in the Senate. People would love to see how skillful you are in the art of bringing people together when there seem to be trouble, especially in the hollow chamber.
Well, we're not praying for trouble to start in the hollow chamber, but I believe that we need to be preventive and proactive to ensure that those issues that could bring trouble are kept at bay. But if we are lucky to have any tension or trouble, my role as the leader, if I'm elected into the office of the President of the Senate, will be to ensure that we are able to control our emotions and look at Nigeria first and Nigerians for the sake of making our country better. Normally, tensions would come up where individuals look at issues either based on regional basis or some ethnic coloration.
Is the APC?
I'm sure I've been in the National Assembly long enough to have built the network to make friends. I've made so many friends right from my home days to the Senate period that I've been in the National Assembly. So I have that network. I have that capacity to work with people across the aisle. I've been a team player. I've been extremely well linked to members of other political parties, and I believe that we can work together with other people from political parties or other. I don't think of any serious tensions that will warrant that kind of.